So the reason I no longer work at that animal shelter is kind of a funny story. So I had a very close friend adopt a dog from the shelter. At this point, I wasn't knowledgeable on dog training and didn't know any of the local trainers. The dog my friend adopted out had quite a few behavioral issues that they wanted to address. As I mentioned, I wasn't a trainer at the time, so I didn't feel like I could help them. So my friend looked up and reached out to a local trainer. During a 20-minute consultation walk with this trainer, they recommended that my friend use a prong collar and a shock collar on the dog. Not only did she recommend the use of a shock collar, she tried to sell my friend one. I feel like it's worth noting she attempted to sell it for $120, and I later found out that she buys them in bulk for $60 a piece. After my friend told me about that disaster of a consultation, I took it upon myself to reach out to that trainer. I do feel it's worth mentioning that at this time I was not medicated and I was in a manic episode when I reached out to this woman. But to summarize our lovely conversation, I asked this woman if she had any certifications and she told me she does not believe in them, and then told me not to judge her until I've seen her train in person and invited me to a training session with another local trainer who is known to use excessive force in their training. At this point, I told her that I would not recommend her to any future adopters, which crossed a few lines. Did I have the power to take her off the local trainers list at the shelter? No. Did she know that? Not at the time. But of course, since it's a small town and everybody knows everybody, it turns out that this trainer was the next door neighbor of the shelter director. So the trainer reaches out to the shelter director and says, "Hey, your employee threatened not to recommend me to new adopters." The shelter director went, "Well, that breaks a lot of rules in our handbook." And the next day I was let go. Getting let go from them really wasn't a huge blow because I had been having issues with a coworker harassing me that everybody was just overlooking. I already had a training apprenticeship lined up when they let me go, so I really wasn't too concerned. Honestly, when I stopped having to see a man who was harassing me every day, everything got quite a bit better. But I just wanted to clarify, I didn't leave because of how the shelter treats their animals. They are honestly probably one of the most force-free shelters in Colorado.